Hello, hi. So, I want to create a little video about EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique, since it is the primary holistic therapy that I use within my business. And I do have like a longer previously held live video, which is it's like nearly 90 minutes long, but I wanted to condense it down for YouTube and for various other places where I plan to drop it in my membership community and anywhere else where I eventually decide to use it. So this is hopefully a more condensed version of that, because that was a live stream, so there was a bit of interaction from other people. And this is, I want to make sure that I don't miss any points, because I may miss points from that video. I don't know. So I wanted to sort of create a video where I'm just talking about the wonders and magic of EFT. I'll explain what even that means in a second. And also share a little bit more about why I truly believe that it is like one of the fundamental parts of learning to look after yourself holistically, look after your health, truly nurture yourself, and find complete and utter freedom in your life. Not just like how we imagine freedom as being, get to go anywhere and do anything, but real true freedom, and what I believe that means. Okay, so I've got a couple of notes in the background so I don't miss any points, and hopefully with just recording a video I get to share all those points in some sort of order. We'll see if anything else comes into me while I'm talking, but let's just crack on. So just a little introduction for me. I'm Davina. I'm a holistic therapist, intuitive healer, and like a mum of three. I home educate. I've always got lots and lots of things going on, but I'm particularly interested in holistic health, in energy medicine, in how our human bodies have so much more potential inside of them than maybe we have been led to believe for a long time. I hate to put any sort of date on when we started to get conditioned into believing certain things about the human body and consciousness and whatever. But specifically, this video is about one of the holistic practices I use most significantly. My favourite. We'll see what else comes up in the next few years as our paradigm around health totally shifts. But for now, in 2020, it is my favourite holistic practice, and it is EFT. They're the letters. It's an acronym, and it's an acronym for something called Emotional Freedom Technique, often also referred to as tapping, because tapping on certain parts of the body is what you do. So we'll go into a little bit about what all of that is. So EFT, I'm trying to decide where to start. I think that we'll start with what you're doing when you do it, and then we'll go into a little bit about how it actually arose out of sheer fluke, really. Which is actually one of the beauties of it is how intuitively it was discovered. When it was discovered. So whether or not you know this, I'm going to jump in a little bit up to Eastern medicine, traditional Chinese medicine, because the points on the body that you're tapping in on when you do the process are meridian points within the body. So not sure how familiar you may be with Chinese medicine, but you've probably heard of acupuncture. So acupuncture is the process, the treatment of a whole manner of conditions of the physical body, and I suspect other things. I've had it personally, acupuncture used for my asthma. So it's the insertion of very, very fine needles into the skin at what they call acupressure points around the body that channel the energy that is running through your body to move it around, correct its course, and help it to improve your health, body, mind and soul. So the points that you're tapping on when you do EFT are parts of these acupressure or acupuncture points. There are 359, according to my notes, acupuncture points around the body that are used, but there are actually 2,000 points altogether used in traditional Chinese medicine, and they're like on the surface of the body, and then they're connected to these meridians or these energy channels around the body. And your energy channels, your meridians, are sort of mirrored on your body, so you have like both sides, and they will correspond to various parts of the body, internal organs, your musculoskeletal structure. And that is why, you know, I would have acupuncture, I'd have needles stuck in my ankles. I had one particular point on my ankle that always made me jump. I never ever felt anything of the you know, I was like, oh, needles. I'm not a big fan of needles generally, but it actually never bothered me. But every time I had it done, there was this particular point on my ankle that just like caught the electrical charge of the energy through my body, and the practitioner would apologise I think I went every 2 weeks or something. So I'm not going to jump into Chinese medicine because I know not an awful lot about it, but this is what I know. Anything you've ever had, certain massage techniques will use these points too. Reflexology is another technique showing that the soles of the feet, the palms of the hands, various points on here mirror parts of your body, working from the tips of the toes or the tips of the fingers down. You've got your body here, and this is probably one of the easiest ways to demonstrate how these channels run through you right to various parts of your body. Traditional Chinese medicine been around for thousands of years. It's still used. It's still used in the Far East, exceptionally, and it's been more and more accepted within the Western world over the course, probably more recently. Although I've used it and had things done using it for over 20 odd years. Yeah, I'm just going back thinking, oh, how old am I? And well, but yeah. So when I say that, I'm just going to go and check my date on the birth of EFT, if it does have it in here. I'm not sure there's actually a date on here, but there we go. 1991. So it was before 1991, because 1991 was when the original technique was like condensed and changed into something a little bit more manageable. So EFT, literally discovered by accident. By someone who knew about Chinese medicine. They were a psychotherapist working with a particular patient who had a fear of water. Now, I've actually never used EFT for phobias. I'm considering using it to release my fear of spiders, but I'm not quite that brave yet. Even though I've used EFT myself for about almost coming up to 10 years. But this particular doctor was looking at treating this woman for hydrophobia. She was absolutely terrified, and he'd used various techniques to try and help her with that, like everything in his psychotherapist toolbox to help her, and he was having little to no success. And on one particular occasion, he spoke to her about how she felt when, you know, and they're like out, going to go in the pool, going to try, you know, that technique that's used with phobias where you slowly, gradually introduce someone to something. And, you know, that being probably the most commonly known way of treating a phobia. And she just was not coping very well at all with any of this, and he took her outside to the pool, showing, you know, what do you think, how do you think you will cope with this? And she's like not very keen on it at all. And he asked her how she felt, like what sort of physical feelings was she having, and I think it was her stomach that she said was, I'm just trying to find it in my notes. It must be on the first page. Yeah, there we go. He was a psychologist. Get it right. Yeah, she was terrified of water. She would like couldn't be around it, and that would like interfere in a lot of her life. And he sort of took her out to the pool. And he was like, so where are you feeling this anxiety? What causes you? How do you feel? What physical response you're getting in your body? And it was her stomach. And it just like dropped into his intuitive knowing. Oh, well, you know, in traditional Chinese medicine, the meridian point in your body that corresponds to your stomach is, I think he used this one. This is the one that I use anyway, is in your left-hand side. And I have to look at my hand. Which hand is that left-hand side? And he had her tapping and rubbing on this point on her left-hand side whilst discussing with her how she felt about going in the water. And after several minutes of this, like openly discussing how she was feeling, she went over to the pool and started playing with the water, splashing it on her face. Actually, you know, splashing water on your face, even if you're not afraid of water, sometimes can trigger some anxiety. And she went and she was like messing in the pool, splashed it on her face, and it was like, it was gone. It never resurfaced. The information I've read doesn't discuss about what else he then did with her, but literally from this, he decided he was going to dive into, wow, how did that help? What happened? And he created a process that was much, much longer drawn out than EFT, which I'm going to show you like a little quick how quickly go through the process and the points that you tap on traditionally now in EFT. But he created this whole system where he took conditions, the health conditions that he worked with, and he specifically targeted points on the meridian lines that he would then treat people with. And as I understand it, it was quite a complicated process. You had to be then specifically trained in it, because you were, you know, it was much more deep than, you know, if this is the condition you've got, these are the points that you're going to work with. This is the condition you are, these are the points you're going to work with. And eventually there was another, I think he was an NLP, neuro-linguistic programmer, practitioner, in various other methods of psychotherapy, who took this one step further, and he'd like learned this process. I'm just going to check what it was called. It was called what did he call it? It was called TFT. Just trying to find what that actually stands for. Thought field therapy. he called it. So this was then another practitioner then qualified in this TFT, who wanted to take it one step further and wanted to make it more simple, because it was a lot. You had to be specifically trained. You probably had to be trained in other modalities of psychotherapy to be able to understand it. And this other practitioner took it this one step further to simplify it. Also, the original technique, you had to be qualified through the particular school of training in that, whereas when EFT came about, the practitioner who created the modality of EFT made it freely available. There is no you have to be trained under this specific school. There's no trademarking of it. There's no you can only call it EFT if you trained in this particular school or in this particular way of thinking. So it's much more freely available. It makes it open to more people to use, more people to share, more people to talk about, and it releases as well that anxiety of, oh, what if I'm tapping on the wrong thing? With EFT, you can't tap on the wrong thing, because the meridian points that are used for it are the ones most connected to all of your body. So when he then this second practitioner then evolved it, this TFT into EFT, he realised that the meridian points pass through the central line. All of them pass through the same points on the body, and he just took it this one step further and was like, well, if we explore the conditions and the emotions behind things, can we actually treat, say, a physical thing like a headache by going through the emotions involved? So back to the original lady, who was called Mary, and her anxiety and fear of water, they were treating an emotional response. Fear, phobia is irrational. There is no phobias. It's not just your average the fear that might come up when you think about an event that may or may not happen. Phobia, if you suffer from a phobia, you know about it. There is no rationality around it. There is no just someone saying, oh, get over it, is not going to help. Phobias are irrational. That is what phobia means. So the emotional triggers often are sort of part of that process. But they were then looking at ways that since the meridian lines are connected to various aspects of the body, how this could then be used with maybe connecting the emotional side of things to physical symptoms. And by realizing this, this is actually, if you look at Chinese medicine, they look at the body as a whole. They look at the person as a whole. They don't just, as is often done in with our medical system at the moment in the Western world, take a physical condition and give you a script, a prescribed medication. If you have this condition, you will have this medication. Chinese medicine tends to take, well, what else is this person going through? How is this person, what's this person's life like? And it takes it much more holistically than our here, have a prescription for this. And then, as we know, often the side effects to those things that create other problems physically. So when you're addressing really the internal workings of the mind and the emotions, what you discover is that you hold energy within your body through your emotions, and that is it worsens. I'm not going to say it causes, but it can worsen a physical symptom. Take for example a headache. That when you've got a pain in your head, if you're anxious about it, if you feel worried and concerned about it, if you're trying to work out why you've got a headache, if you're prone to headaches and you think, why have I got this headache? What is going on? What is this about? Why? The more you think about it, the more intense that pain can get. The more you worry about something, the more intense that pain can get. If you think about having something undiagnosed, if you're concerned about other pain in your body, you can be anxious about what is causing it and what is the cause, what's worrying about I might have this wrong, I might have that wrong with me. And oftentimes just going to a doctor and getting a diagnosis reduces the severity of the condition, because, I can relax. I know it's this, even if this isn't a particularly good thing to have. It's but I know it's not all these other 1,000,001 things that it could be, and now I can just relax and the symptoms can lessen. So when you're holding emotional anxiety within your body, then you can basically bring more intense physical symptoms upon yourself. Now, personally, my belief as a holistic therapist is that a great deal of our past, the way we worry and think about things, the way that we've been brought up, the way we've been taught, the conditioning that we receive, it's all held within our body. And things like self-worth, self-esteem, things like the way that we've been spoken to as children, how we've been brought up, what we've been led to believe, all of these things can have an impact on how we feel right now. And also things like, this is a family history of this, then, I'm going to get that then, and I'm bound to get that, I'm bound to get that condition. And then you hold energy within that part of your body that, I believe, literally can manifest that same thing upon yourself. That might be a little bit out there. I really hope that as the time is moving on in relation to us understanding more the science behind how energy medicine works and how the body and the mind work and how consciousness works, is that actually it will become normal to associate how we can, through anxiety and worry and concern over a certain condition, worsen, potentially even cause that experience to come upon us. So the holding on of the emotions within the body affects our health. And this is not woo-woo, this is not out there anymore. One of the main causes of things like heart disease is now known to be stress. Stomach ulcers, another thing. Often stomach ulcers in working people who've been in high stressful positions, usually in positions of authority within their business, and worry and anxiety over a whole range of things, eventually causing acidic response within the stomach, and a stomach ulcer is the physical manifestation of that anxiety. So it's not new, it's not out there to be stating that emotional problems and stresses and strains and anxiety cause physical conditions. It's actually well known within medical and scientific realms currently that is the case. But that wasn't known 40 years ago, even 50 years ago, 60 years ago, these conditions, and just were blamed on, a bad heart or a bad stomach. And it's only recent times that this has been attributed, and I feel like maybe our society's way of living has perpetuated. This is why you see more of these things than you then did 40, 50, 60 years ago, is because our lifestyle has caused more stress and anxiety over time. So working through the emotions, we also tend to, as a society in the Western world, want to hide our emotions. Certainly, I'm in the UK, and it's certainly there's the old stiff British upper lip is like, it's well known. We're not very emotive. We don't show our emotion. We're certainly not as emotional as some European countries. We tend to be very stoic. We don't show our emotions very well. We're not. Don't appear to be as likely to greet people with hugs. A very handshake, shake your hand, very straight-faced and not very emotive. And also then further afield, there's this idea that we don't want to be negative. We don't want to be talking about our problems. There's very much within the what I'm going to refer to as the spiritual community, using that term loosely. And there's this idea of positivity, and we want to stay positive, and we want to shine love and light on everybody, and we don't want to dwell on the negative ideas then based around the law of attraction and certain other laws of the universe, that we don't want to bring that upon ourselves. And so we just going to share all the positive. And that's not particularly beneficial and helpful if you've got a lot of anxiety, you're holding a lot of anxiety, a lot of worry, there's a lot of stuff going on in your life, in the world, you've had stuff from your past, and it's all held inside your body, and you don't want to give it a voice because you don't want to be labelled negative, you don't want to be bringing the energy of a room down or an event down. You're like, so you hold it inside yourself. And that energy moves, and it's got to go somewhere. And if all you're doing is holding it within yourself, certain things happen. Mental breakdowns happen, nervous breakdowns happen. You may do really well at holding it all inside. This is me. I would hold things inside for a long time, not wanting to voice it, not wanting to upset people or worry people. And there'd be like bursts of anger. I'd get really frustrated. I would take it out on my kids, on my husband, on my mum when she was alive. It would come out in these little bursts of anger, and that's the energy getting out. And it's usually those things. If I'm going into my kid's room and complain about the mess in their room, you'd almost guarantee nothing to do with the mess in their room. The anxiety that I was holding in my body was associated with something else, usually my self-esteem, my self-worth, worries about money, worries about the home, anything else that was coming up. I'd get like something outside of myself, maybe something I'd read, caused me worry, and rather than actually allow myself to feel that worry and sit and think about it for a while and process it, which is kind of what I do now. I'm not saying I go in and complain about the mess in my kid's bedroom, but I tend to do it from a much more calm place and just walk in there and go, hi guys, can we tidy up please? Rather than going in there and going, this room is a mess. So when it doesn't even mean that when we do have these outbursts, these breakdowns, these whatever, that it's anything to do with the event that is right there in front of us, but often it's held from something else that has happened. And very often those events are rooted in childhood. So events from birth to 7 years, commonly known that they're the events that basically set us up for the rest of our life. And certain events, often particularly from very early childhood, they're not events that we consciously remember. They're like within our subconscious mind, and they protect us and keep us safe from certain things that we maybe would want to do now in our life, but somewhere inside us we're prevented from doing that. And that's the beauty of EFT. So as you work through EFT, you take them, whatever situation it is right now, the headache, and you talk about that, and you give that a voice and all the feelings associated with it. If it's particularly that you're anxious over what this may mean, why do I keep getting this headache, what does this mean, then it just allows it all to be heard, to be felt, to be acknowledged, and hopefully the idea is to then be moved on from. So you give it all, as much energy as you possibly can at the start, and then move on to the positive idea that of what we want to get and what we want to see in our lives, and how we want things to go, and how we know that we get to choose to feel better, and how we're aware that we want to feel better. Usually if you come to EFT, you want to feel better about something, you want to release something, or you want to find solutions. So the first thing that led me to EFT was finances, money, wanting to have money coming to me within my business at the time. So this is nearly 10 years ago. And it was not the EFT that I use. It was more like tapping on affirmations, acknowledging the I feel like I've got no money right now, and then moving on to opening yourself up to money coming to you, or opportunities coming to you. So this idea is that when we have cleared out all the feelings that are getting us down, the feelings that are causing us worry and anxiety impair your cognitive function. They make you foggy-headed. You're that focused on this worry and this anxiety, this medical condition, this pain, that you don't think about solutions, because you're very focused on this. And when we move it through and we allow it to freely flow through the body, it can open up this idea that actually there is potential out there is possibility. And in relation to like finances, it can help you go, oh look, I can there are other options out there for me to bring money in at this moment than me stressing about the fact that I don't have a job, or my job doesn't pay enough. And it can also, if say you've got a job and you want a raise and you're too nervous because you don't think you deserve a raise, and not good enough for a raise, it will give you can do EFT to like work on your confidence, to go to your boss and say, look, I do this amount of work, I would like a raise please, and give you the confidence to do that. And it works in relationships, as parenting. I've done EFT sessions on patient parenting, on decluttering the house. I love how as well it can be used for such a diverse range of anything. Loving yourself more, acknowledging that you want to love yourself more, but that some of these past stories and events that we've talked about from childhood, or from our past, from past relationships, are affecting our feelings on what we can do now to improve now, so that our future can be more based on happiness and peace that we can feel now than it is on the anxiety or the traumas or whatever that we have faced in our past. So I think that sort of covers most of the basics. Things that is really, really good for are anything that is holding us in emotional torment. Strong word, but it's coming now. So that is childhood traumas, not even if it's like particularly horrific, just, bad experiences at school, maybe like Mary, this lady where it was first discovered, maybe she'd had a experience in childhood involving water. Don't know, it doesn't go into any more details, but those things are held on us. We may not even really remember them, but we allow them. Your body remembers, and your body knows, and your subconscious mind knows. And sometimes the actually specific events can come back up and you're, oh yeah, actually this happened to me and this will be the cause. And that is an amazing realization. If that comes up, I've used other emotional clearing processes that use similar methods to energetically release those things. And so sometimes when you're tapping, an event will come up and you go, oh yeah, so this happened way back when, and it is a very similar feeling and experience to what is going on now. And then you do some tapping around that situation to allow that situation to be released and eased, and then you're able to come back to the now situation and go, oh yeah, that actually it's gone and it's eased, and it was actually this past experience that was preventing you from seeing the solution now to whatever the problem is. So really, really quickly now, I want to go through the points that I use generally, the ones that I use, and how you go about using them. So I mentioned how we like to give lots of focus and energy to the situation to actually give it a voice and give it feelings, and we do that by feeling into our body, making sure that we are like grounded, know where we are sat in our chair or on the floor or wherever you're sat doing EFT. And just take a moment to really allow that feeling to come into your body. Where do you feel it? And you usually would mark on a scale of 1 to 10 how intense those feelings are, where like 10 is like the most intense. You don't even know how anything will ever improve. For example, if it's a headache, 10 is like your head's going to explode and you don't know, you're actually terrified that something really, really serious is wrong. And where 1 is like, normal, like right now, no headache, nothing's. So obviously if you're doing EFT, usually your number is up somewhere between 5 and 10. I would say most often my clients, then when we start an EFT session, it's between 8 and 10. So we use this karate chop point here on the hand, and this is this point here is this point here is where we start, and we basically start with exactly how we feel right now. Even though in this moment right now, don't know how anything is ever going to get better, and you give it all, you use your number that you've found out, other things that we give specific name to, what emotion comes up for us. So if you've got a headache and you're worried about it, it's like worry. Maybe you've got specific fears around headaches. So you name the emotion, you sit for a moment and you make a mental note or a written note. I write things down for my clients, obviously, of the number and emotion, and then connect to where in your body you feel that feeling. It can often be, if it's anxiety, it can often be sitting in the stomach. If it's sort of various other types of stress related to all the aspects, because very often our physical symptoms are connected to our emotions. So the same goes the other way. An emotion or a situation can be tied into a body part. It could be if you're working on tapping for asking for a raise or a promotion, it could be that when you close your eyes and you go, oh actually, yeah, I can feel like pulsing or even pain in my throat chakra, not being able to speak your truth about something, ask about something. Or maybe it is just purely, it's a headache and it's in my head and it's a 10 and I'm scared. And then, so they're the basics. And I use other things too. I like to give it a colour and a number to sort of give it as much body and as much expansion in the moment as there is. So when I'm doing a one-to-one client session, I will include all of it. When I do my live streams, I often ask for all of it, but don't necessarily drop all of it into the tapping, because I work intuitively, so I allow for it to drop into me as it's coming. So we start here and we give everything the voice that it has. And then the other points are the eyebrow here, the side of the eye here, under the eye here, under the nose, just right in the middle of the chin. I can't see very well because I'm sideways, but the collarbone here, I've got a spot on this side and it hurts. And then under the arm, sort of just under a couple of inches under your arm. We always say bra strap line for ladies or nipple line for men, somewhere in that region. And then there's the wrist here. Do both together. So these points here that are on both sides of the body, you can use both sides of the body. You can do both together, or you can do them separately. You can alternate and change. Obviously not like that, you might get a bit dizzy. But like as we go on around, you do this side, and then the other round you might do this side. And then there's other points too. There's fingertips, there's the side of the nail bed. I tend to only use them in one-to-one client sessions. Occasionally I'll drop them in a live video over certain specific subjects. Then other little things that you can, and then the top of the head, forgot the important one. I say important because when I'm doing a client session, and I've done this myself when I've been having sessions, this point here look a little bit silly, look like a chimpanzee or something. Laurel and Hardy. Yeah. So this point here is one that you can use when you're trying to process something alone, maybe not in an office full of people. Come to that in a second. But if you're doing a process, you're going through, and that number that we spoke about earlier, if that is like not shifting, not going down, or it goes up. I've had this experience where I've gone around a tapping and gone like, oh my god, oh, it's worse. And then you just tap here and just talk a little bit more to the client about what it is that they're feeling and how they're feeling it, and get them to close their eyes and just feel into it all and allow it to all shift through the body, and sort of like all the meridian lines cross through this point on the head. And then the fingertips are a much more subtle way to do it. Maybe if you're walking down the street, going to an important event, going to an appointment, or if you're in like a meeting or something, you sit under the desk and just be tapping on your fingers, maybe waiting for your turn to speak about something, and it will just ease your nervous system and your anxiety, and help to improve the way that you feel generally. And this can be done, I do it often when I'm like trying not to argue with somebody, and just feel a little bit easier and more at peace. So yeah, that's the basic points that we use through EFT. Trying to think if there's anything else that I want to add. So we do a round of time. We start here with this even so I've got this pain in my headache and I'm scared I'm going to die. I think it's a brain tumour, and then we acknowledge ourselves for feeling that way. Say things like, I acknowledge how I feel and I know that I'm safe, because right now, here in this moment, unless you're in some sort of terrifying circumstance, you won't be doing EFT, really. Not in that way anyway. You know that you're safe in this moment. Other expressions like I love and honour myself. Sometimes that's a bit too much for people. And just allow yourself to acknowledge that you're doing something about whatever it is that is causing, and just that process of acknowledging that you have these feelings can be a significant change. Then we go through the points, and you kind of go round and round a few times, and then check back in with your emotions, where you feel it in your body, how intense that feeling is, and how intense that number is that we named at the start. The aim is to get the number down to 1. Sometimes in 2 or 3 rounds. When I do a client session, I'm aiming to get that number to 1, because I have 50 to 60 minutes to do a client session. When I do a live stream, I am often trying to condense it into like 20 minutes. And so that number might not get to 1. But if I'm doing a recorded video, if you're watching a recorded video, you can go back to the beginning of that recorded video and drop it down again. Certain other things, you take full responsibility for yourself before you do a session. It's not down to the practitioner to be making magic work for you. You take full responsibility for yourself and for how you're feeling, and you all the things afterwards. It's energy work, it's emotional work. You need to be kind to yourself afterwards. So you need to rest, you need to maybe get some fresh air, maybe do something that will improve how you feel, have a sleep. It can often, particularly if you're going into deep dark emotions, and you often need to sleep. And also water. I'm talking to you, I was talking and I really, really need to drink. Looking at the bottle in the background going. So that's because water helps to move energy around in the body. It helps you to feel clearer headed. So if you're tapping around an anxiety issue, when you've had a drink of water, you can then feel a little bit better, and think clearer on particular situations that you may be working with. I'm going to leave it there, or else this video will be no shorter than the original video. But if you've watched this, wherever it is, and you have any questions, you can contact me through my Facebook page or my Instagram, Davina Ketson Holistic Health. That's the best way to find me, or davinaketson.com. Probably should spell that. It is DAVINAKECUN.com. You can blame my father for my first name and my husband for my second name. But yeah, you can find me there. And I'm more than happy, or if you say watching this on YouTube or on Facebook, you can drop a comment anywhere, and I will get back to you with any questions. If it's a significant question, then I may even make a video about specific aspects that come to mind for you. But thank you for watching. I hope that this has helped in some way to understand it a little bit. I hope that the points, I'm gonna separate the points out too, so there's just a video with the points in, but yes, know that you are totally able to release all past experiences so that you can live your life to its highest potential in this now moment, and know that you are infinitely guided, that you have everything inside yourself to move forward in your life of whatever is going on for you right now, this time you're watching this, or at any point in your life. You do have everything that you need inside yourself. And that is it. And thank you for watching, and I wish you all the best on your journey or on your day right now. So thank you for joining me. Bye.